Hello, come with us into a silent winter evening. We'll visit a magic place of Nizhny Novgorod, where two rivers meet, Oka and Volga. Also, we will walk through building complex of Nizhny Novgorod Trade Fair. The main building of it was set in the end of 19th century. But we'll start from the old Trade Fair Cathedral. Here it is. We will not get inside as it's closed now, but look at it. It was built according to the project of Augustin Betancourt. This engineer ruled all the works here. All the complex of Nizhny Novgorod Trade Fair was built under his control. And this magnificent church in the style of late classicism stands next to very plain blocks of flats that we call Khrushchevki, because they were built for peasants who came to live in cities 10 years after the World War II. Nikita Khrushchev ordered to build these tiny blocks of flats for people. That's where the name of these houses came from. It's an awesome contrast. We can learn history from such architectural evidence. When we were actually walking, we didn't notice the glittering of torches on the alley. The camera shows them glittering. I don't know why. We are walking along the alley named in honor of Augustin Betancourt. This man is originally from Spain, but he came to live and work for Russian monarchy. And this is a monument to those who eliminated the consequences of the accident in nuclear power plant in Chernobyl. The crack symbolizes radiation that penetrates everywhere. Yes, now Chernobyl is Ukrainian territory, but it was the Soviet Union at that time, and many people, men from different regions, sacrificed their health and life to save the world from this disaster. Look what we've got here. These modern sculptures appeared in the area of Nizhny Novgorod Trade Fair before the New Year, when it became clear that this area was going to be the main place for outdoor celebration. We shot the video in the end of January. It's not cold, 5 degrees Celsius below zero, but there are hardly any people outside. Probably they have had enough winter walks. Everybody is waiting for spring to come. And now, when I'm giving English voice to the video, it's the 2nd of April already. And you can't believe it, but it's still winter in our region. Lots of snow everywhere. It's cold, and it still snows every day. I still wear my winter coat, though some optimists walk without their hats. Look, another set of sculptures. It's a shame snow covers them, and we almost don't see that they shine like pearls. But I just love them. Do you? As Nizhny Novgorod Trade Fair was chosen to be the main place for outdoor New Year festivities, many people came here at night on the 1st of January to celebrate. There were so many cars. They were driving here in circles looking for a parking place. Lots of photos on Instagram and other social media we saw afterwards. Of course, people came here by cars if only they had a driver who could celebrate New Year without champagne or any other alcohol. So all the streets around made one big traffic jam. And there was one big traffic jam even some days after the 1st of January. It took such a long time to voice our movie. You see, both my husband and I work a lot, and we have 2 children, so you can imagine that we are rather short of time. And then, in the end of February, we were not in the right mood to voice the video according to their circumstances. We were shocked and worried by the military operation against Nazi Ukrainians. But we decided to release the video anyway, even if broadcasting YouTube in our country is under threat now. Can't help sharing this winter beauty with you. Another pair of these beautiful sculptures, but I like bears better. And what is your opinion? Look, we are in front of the main trade fair house. It was built in the end of the 19th century. Well, to be honest, not in front, at the back of it. It's even more beautiful in front. And the street we are standing now has a boring name in honor of Council of People's Commissars. It's from the Soviet Union, really. But the place is a miracle. This main palace of the trade fair had some room for the governor in the 19th century. It worked like one of his residences. And there were flats for merchants on the second floor, because on the ground floor there were these merchants' shopping arcades. And nowadays it's a joint stock company. Different business meetings, trade shows, and conferences are held here for more than 500 million people a year. Probably it's not a big number for capital cities, but Nizhny Novgorod is not a capital of Russia. There was not a hotel inside the trade fair house, and there still isn't. But there is a big hotel next to the fair, Marine Park Hotel. We are looking at it now. It is a 4-star hotel, and its rating on Booking.com is also 4 stars. There are few restaurants and entertaining places inside, and it has one more advantage: beautiful view from the windows. When I entered my hotel room, it was already quite dark. From the fairground side came the hubbub of life boiling there. This was said by a journalist from the 19th century. And what would modern ones say if they were here? Let's take a look. We are not coming from the main entrance, I'm afraid, but from the back. White celebrations, white festivities have already passed, and there are no frames with metal detectors, no guardians who check the content of your bags. There is a square between the trade fair and the hotel, Lenin Square. This place is spacious and deserted almost all the time. Lenin was a revolutionary, a theorist, and a politician of the early Soviet Union. His tomb is in Red Square in Moscow. Not a tomb, it's a mausoleum. Time to bury his debris, it's my humble opinion. Well, and Lenin is standing, his statue on this Lenin Square. Real Lenin is lying on a stone bed, something like this. So he's standing on the square here, and he's pointing with his big hand where the workers of all countries must move. What's interesting about Nizhny Novgorod? Lenin is pointing at the statue of Maxim Gorky. Maxim Gorky is a communist writer, and his square with the statue is over the Oka River in the other part of the city, and Lenin is pointing at him directly if you look at the map. When I was a student, I was going to be a literature teacher. I heard a local joke about these monuments from fellow students in the Faculty of History. I'll try to convey it. So, the proletariat, workers, are tired from capitalist exploitation, and they came to this replica of Vladimir Ilyich Lenin to ask for some advice. What should we do? It's impossible to live like this. We cannot bear it anymore, and so on and so on. Lenin is pointing at Maxim Gorky, and he said, "Go to that man. He knows the answer. He was a worker himself." Poor workers went to the monument of Maxim Gorky and asked the same question. He did not move his hands. He just nodded at the monument of Valery Chkalov, which is next to Nizhny Novgorod Kremlin. Felt it was their last hope. Workers came to the statue of Valery Chkalov. And Valery Chkalov, if you know, he was a pilot, a courageous man, and he's standing there in his pilot suit, and one pilot glove is already on his hand, and he's putting on the other one. So if you look at him from the right side, it seems like he's showing a very rude gesture. And this means that workers won't get any rest or extra money. So, this sort of thing. I don't know if it's funny or not, but it's so life. It's life. Well, I'm talking about things that don't relate to the place I am now, to its beauty. I like it a lot. All the fir trees, all the Christmas trees, all the lights. But the things we like most here is the firebirds. They are just like a symbol of this fairy trade. Firebirds, yeah, they're beautiful. From the Russian and wider Slavonic fairy tales. Imagine there were hundreds and hundreds of people during the festive times. Was not enough room to swing a cat. It's an English idiom. In my language version, there is no room to drop an apple. So there were loads of people in early January. I don't want to say that it's bad. No, it makes festive atmosphere, but it was really hard to make a good video. The territory around here was not at all friendly before the redevelopment. There was not enough place to sit, rest. Now it's hospitable, truly friendly. You can buy mulled wine, very tasty but extremely hot. First warm your hands with it and only after your throat. Well, it's called mulled wine, but it's a soft drink here, it's not wine. You cannot buy alcohol on the territory and it's good. But you can buy hot chocolate with marshmallows, and you can buy snacks, souvenirs, and so on, and make really good photos. Lots of places are at your disposal for it. This wonderful merry-go-round is from Disney cartoons of my childhood. Oh dear, there were not such things in my reality those times. Anyway, when I saw it, I thought that I was going to pay 1,000 rubles to give my two children this joy. But my 11-year-old son refused going. It's not interesting for him anymore. And for my 5-year-old, I paid 50 rubles. 50 rubles, dear. So what I say, it's a truly friendly place, even when we talk about money. The central place of winter entertainment is a skating rink, of course. This one was set here especially for the new year, and it was opened with a super show. Ilya Verbuch came here with his crew to make something incredible. Also, there were Olympic figure skating champions Roman Kostomarov, Maxim Shabalin, Ekaterina Bobrova. It's hard to list them all. The tickets were free of charge and they disappeared from the site in no time. That's why they made two shows, one after another, to meet the demand, if it was possible at all. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. The snow said, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, with every Christmas card I write. May your days, may your days, may your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmas be white. White Christmas is really a present even for us because I remember 1 or 2 years without snow for Christmas and for New Year. It was horrible, but now it's not. This world is wild as an old wives' tale, and strange the plain things are. The earth is enough, and the air is enough for our wonder and our war. But our rest is as far as the fire drake swings, and our peace is put in impossible things, where clashed and thundered unthinkable wings, round an incredible star. To an open house in the evening, home shall men come, to an older place than Eden, and a taller town than Rome, to the end of the way of the wandering star, to the things that cannot be and that are, to the place where God was homeless, and all men are at home. Do you like Chesterton? I like him a lot. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time to read all his books. Possibly I will have time to do that. This fountain is here since 1869. It is made of cast iron for the money of merchants of Nizhny Novgorod. There is a name board from cast iron as well with this information. All the fountains work only in summertime here in our region, and they stay closed for the rest of the year. But this one looks as bright as a Christmas tree. Wonderful. This place looks magic, and not only looks, it is magic. I'll tell you our story. It happened that we came here and parked our car 300 meters away. We started shooting a video. Our oldest son had the car keys in his coat in a pocket. We were eager to give it back to Daddy, my husband. We were walking and trying not to bother him a lot as he was shooting. But I bore in mind that we had to give the car key back. And then I somehow stopped thinking about it. Vlad had gone further, children and I were admiring the decorations and the light. Then suddenly we realized that there was no car key in the pocket. Kirill didn't have a zip on his pockets. I don't want to recall the panic in my head, all the bad thoughts and expenses of possible ways out. We divided into two groups. Our little son and I went back to the center, to that fountain. Older son and my husband stayed near the ice town to keep looking for the key, but where could we find it? We were walking, running, playing with my kids everywhere, in all the snow hills. And if we dropped it somewhere here, then when could we find it? In spring? The things could not have been worse. There was a moment when my son and I just sat on our knees to catch our breath, to pray to Godmother, to ask her for help, and I looked up and saw a worker of the trade fair. He wore a special waistcoat of a bright color. I came to him and explained the trouble. I still remember his puzzled face. He said something like, "My congratulations." But then we went to some of these little houses where they stayed, like the office for administration, and he asked his colleague if anyone had brought the car key. The man answered yes. Asked the make of the car, I answered, and we got the key. It's impossible to explain how I felt. I hugged them and thanked, almost cried. I called my husband at once. It was a real miracle. Come to this place and maybe you will find a piece of magic for yourself. Another fountain. Unfortunately, it will melt in spring. It is the place for children. Hard to make them go away. This fountain is a challenge because it's very slippery and it's not an easy matter to climb on. And once they climbed on, they don't want to leave. I hope children don't try to lick it, or there is a possibility to stay here till spring. But it's lots of work to create such a sculpture, of course. We'll see another, a nice town. We are heading to it. It's difficult to say which place is the main winter attraction here. Some people are sure that the most interesting is this oven. Well, it's really nice and cozy. Children can dry their mittens here after playing in the snow. People from the city don't see open fire very often, so they like it. And in general, open fire always attracts people and animals. It gives the sense of warmth and friendship, even if people see each other for the first time. There is a special worker who puts more wood in the oven to keep the fire bright. When we were going here with my husband, we were planning a romantic winter walk. without hustle and bustle, drinking wine, admiring the view. Our children slightly changed our plans. They were fighting and screaming, lying in the snow in every snow hill. In the end, they looked like snowmen. It wasn't romantic at all. It's good to make plans, but if something goes wrong, you'd better take it easy, like we try. The main trade house is the heart of this place, of course, but it wasn't enough for trading. And in the 90s, another one or two were built somewhere here where we are standing. These two were not beautiful at all. They were just retail areas for selling goods, for example, honey or cloths. These buildings have been removed, fortunately, and the second pavilion, official one, was built in 2021. It has two parts connected. One looks like a mirror, this one, and the main one looks more usual, it's just white. It looks like a piece of snow now, and the ice town I told you about is located next to it. Let's go there. There are three sculptures. I'm quite short-sighted, and I thought they were Grandfather Frost, his granddaughter Snow Girl, and someone the third. But no, this sculpture group doesn't relate to the New Year or Christmas at all. It has a name, Builders of the Future. This art object symbolizes the unity of the roles in any project: a manager, an architect, and an executor. The author is Dmitry Aske, so it's a modern one. When people talk about ice building, someone can recall igloos, a traditional Arctic dome, or ice hotels in Scandinavia. Igloo is made of snow, not ice though, and hotels are truly made of ice. They melt in spring, rebuild again in winter. But I recall the novel of our Russian writer Ivan Lazhechnikov. The novel had the name Ice House. It is a historical novel. In 1740, an ice house was truly built on the river Neva in St. Petersburg. It was made for entertaining the Empress Anna Ivanovna. This house was really huge. It was some meters height, 5 and 17 meters long. All the furniture, flowers, dishes were made of ice too. This maze we are walking in, it is not that impressive, of course, but at least all people can walk inside, not only courtiers of the Empress. The maze has a throne in the end, a throne of the Snow Queen. It was really challenging to sit on it for my little son, because the throne is quite big for him and very slippery. He had several attempts to get on it and to get a photo, finally managed. Really funny. I didn't sit. I was afraid to become as insensitive and cold as the Snow Queen from the fairy tale of Andersen. When I voiced a Russian version of the movie, we found out in the news that the maze was destroyed by some teenagers, boys. They got into the video. They damaged the most beautiful parts of it at night. How awful and disgusting it is. It takes such a long time to create something and only a few minutes to devastate. But I'm sure that the creators are more powerful anyway. People remember their work and involvement. This energy can't be in vain. We are walking by the main building of the second pavilion. It isn't working yet, but it will be. And these white constructions are called pylons. The windows between the pylons are 30 meters high. The architect calls this front a live front because when you pass by in a car, for example, there is an illusion that the front turns its face to you and it follows you. How this optical illusion can happen, it's difficult to say. I will try to explain though I don't fully understand it. So each window, this very long window, 30 meters high, has its own angle. So they all have different angles to pylons, and that is how the illusion works. I like this second building. It does not compete with the main old building at all. They are from different ages, and it's wonderful. We could go to the embankment of the Oka River here, but the stairs are closed, so we will go some other way. We are on the street of Council of People's Commissars again. We started from it, so the trade fair is on this street, but we are on another part of it, where the trade fair is over. We are heading to Strelka, the place where two rivers meet. Such cars usually serve mail offices and some other administrative services. It has a nickname, a loaf, because it looks like a rectangular loaf of brown bread. Russia is a very big country, but in the end of the winter we don't know where to put our snow. That's for sure. Council of People's Commissars Street. The name of this street is from the Soviet Union. It sounds boring to my taste, but some other are very beautiful. They remind us about the time when the trade fair was very popular. For example, Port Street, not seaport, but riverport, of course. Also, Samarkand Street. Samarkand was and is a city in Uzbekistan. It's very, very far from here. Manufacturer Street. And these old buildings are from the times of the Russian Empire and the best times of Nizhny Novgorod Trade Fair. They all used to serve merchants and their needs. The Cathedral of Saint Alexander Nevsky, where we are heading now, was built in the end of 19th century. People of that time used to call it a new trade fair cathedral, as it was built after the old one, where we started our walk from. The merchants of Nizhny Novgorod decided to build another Orthodox church. That's why they started to call it new and the other one old. Now this cathedral is considered to be the most important in the city, and its location just supports this idea. When I was telling you about Nizhny Novgorod Trade Fair, I always talked about the past, 19th century only, when it was built. It started to be built in 1820s. But what about the 20th century? What happened? Well, the revolution happened, and all the trade finished, and all the merchants finished as well, and the main Trade Fair house became just the city council. It had been a city council for a very long time. After Soviet Union was over, a new age began. Probably good times for this place are just ahead, and the second pavilion, will help it. Now when I'm voicing this video, it is the 10th of April and we still have snow on the streets, in our garden. It is melting rapidly, of course, and maybe it will disappear in a week or so. Through the underground pedestrian crossing, we will go to the street Strelka that is heading to the cathedral, of course. And from this place, we can see lots of attractions that are located nearby. For example, the stadium that was built for the 2018 World Championship, football championship. Look at it, here it is. Yes, and another metro station, underground station, was built with the name Strelka, not very far from the stadium. I remember times, especially in 90s, where when underground underpasses were a scary place to be. They were all covered with graffitis, signatures, bad and good words, mostly rude words, of course. And there were lots of street musicians. They were playing their music for money, for entertainment, and well, I love street musicians and I always give them money when I see. But now underpasses are nice place to be, not very scary, with lots of light. The view of the street has not changed since 19th century. Maybe the colors of the buildings are different, but the buildings are still the same. And this yellow one, it is now the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Nizhny Novgorod region. But in 19th century, it used to be a brothel. I'm not sure if I pronounce the word correctly or if you know this word, the meaning of it. So brothel is a place where men can buy women's time and body, used to buy. Now it's out of law, thanks God. But it was legal in 19th century in our country, in Russian Empire, and that's a real shame. It wasn't the only one. Brothels, they served the needs of trade fair as well, where we have lots of people, many people, they need to sleep, to eat, and to entertain. So these places, they just met the demands. And they were all very close to the new built cathedral, as you can see. There can be a huge discussion about why the Russian Empire crashed in 1917, well, probably even earlier, in the very beginning of the 20th century. There were lots of problems inside the empire. There were lots of enemies as well, and there was the First World War. But you cannot just announce the motto of the country like orthodoxy, monarchy, and people. There was a motto that time: orthodoxy, monarchy, and people, and in the same time take taxes from women, from brothels, and have them legally. That is just impossible. And that is probably the answer, my answer. But if you have another opinion, you're welcome, share it. We like the contrast of these two buildings. There were lots of arguments when the place for the new stadium was being chosen, and there were many voices against the decision to build the stadium right next to the cathedral, not very far from the cathedral, because there can be very lots of noise from the stadium, from the matches, and it's not very far from the cathedral. But the stadium is here, and it looks great. And I think it's okay that something changes all the time because it's life and it cannot just stop. That's it. And the cathedral is still here and it looks beautiful. By the way, it's a miracle that this cathedral is still here, because there was a decision in 1930s to destroy it and put a beacon, a lighthouse on its place with a huge monument of Vladimir Ilyich Lenin on the top. And even the domes were taken away, had been already taken away, because this cathedral was being prepared to be demolished. But something then stopped and it didn't happen, thanks God, so we have it here. 22 years ago, the cathedral was given back to a church and it was restored, and now it has one of the biggest bells in Russia, and it's one of the biggest cathedrals in Russia as well. The area around didn't used to be so welcoming and beautiful. It used to be a port with warehouses and lifting cranes. I remember that time even a few years ago. But the Oka River is long enough to put another port with warehouses somewhere else. And thanks God we have this place beautiful now. It is strictly forbidden to make photo and video inside the church, in any churches, but we are not tourists. We feel at home in any cathedral, Orthodox cathedral, because we go to church services regularly, and we have taken a risk to make a short video for you because we want to tell you about it, what's inside, to explain everything. Let's have a look. There are three altars in the central part of the cathedral. One is in honor of Alexander Nevsky, Saint Alexander Nevsky. The other one is in honor of Maria Magdalena. And the last one is in honor of Saint Nicholas the Wonder Worker. And this central part of the cathedral did not have any central heating because it worked only during the summertime, the time of the trade fair, where merchants, lots of people went to the church services on Sundays. And there was another altar with heating for the winter services, and it was very small because there were very few people during winter here. This warm altar was built in honor of saint man of Nizhny Novgorod region, Nizhny Novgorod land, Makary Zheltovodsky. And now, of course, all of the cathedral has central heating. There is no difference.
Это не вы оставили пакетик?
During the pandemic of 2020, there was time a period of time where all the churches were closed for people and people could not get inside for the church service, but they didn't stop. They were here, they were held, and they were held some live translations, some live videos from them for people to see them online. Of course, it is better to get inside the church, but if you have no choice, it's at least you may see it online. And now these live videos are taken regularly, maybe not every Sunday, but regularly you can see some services from this cathedral. An interesting fact, during the World War II, on the central part of the roof of this cathedral, there was an anti-aircraft battery that protected the city from the Nazi Germany planes that bombed our city, especially the factories. Luckily, not any bomb fell on this place and on their cathedral. It did not destroy anything here. I could tell you lots of other facts and opinions about this place because it's truly historic and I've got lots of thoughts about it and other things, but this place is so quiet now. It is 8 in the evening and it's winter, so I want to leave you face to face to our Russian winter. Here it is, very long, very cold, speechless, and there is lots of time to think over about your life, about everything. So thanks for watching. You were on our channel. Come with us. Goodbye. See you soon.